Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for coming this afternoon to our media briefing. I know a lot of you are very curious as to what is the nature of our press briefings this afternoon, but I'll let Governor Rambaran fill you in on that. So let me just introduce the members of our head table. Of course, we have Governor Joala Rambaran, and we have Leslie Ann Figaro, Banking Operations Officer 2. So again, I'm sure you're very curious. We're not giving out any prizes for anyone who guesses what the topic is today. So I'm going to hand you over to Governor Rambaran, who's going to announce our topic that we're here to discuss today. Governor.
Thanks very much, Charlene. And once again, thank you very much for coming out on such short notice. As Charlene indicated, we're here to announce what I consider to be an extremely exciting initiative for the central bank. As many of you may know, the bank is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and that celebration will actually kick off in December of this year. Over the last 2 years or so, the bank has actually been strengthening and improving many areas of its operations in monetary policy, financial stability, foreign reserve management. And this project is another addition that reflects the bank as a very modern and progressive institution. The project is essentially that around the new and redesigned $50 banknote. As you may be aware, the current $50 banknote was launched about 2 years ago, and it was known as the Independence $50 banknote. For a number of reasons, that $50 note has not found widespread public acceptance. And that has led to some challenges in respect of the issue of our $100 note and our $20 note. When we did our economic research, what we found out was that our $100 was being stressed. And that's a word that Leslie and the currency experts use when they talk about money. It was being stressed in the sense that our 100 is what we call a store of value, but it's also a means of payment, as you know. And at the same time, our $20 note was being stressed, which again meant that it had to carry out almost double the functions as a means of payment. And this meant that there's a very strong economic case to have a $50. But since our current 50 was not finding strong public acceptance, we went back to the drawing board and we engaged in extensive consultations, research, and meetings, stakeholder meetings, to determine what would be the most appropriate way to move forward. At this announcement, I will not give away the full details and indicate to you what the new design features of the $50 will look like. That we will unveil at our 50th anniversary gala on December 13th. But suffice it to say, in recognizing that we are turning 50, the new 50, its color will be gold, making it very distinctive. It will also come with a particular feature that makes it very distinctive from all the other currency that we have in circulation. And that is the new 50 will be made from polymer. And polymer, as some of you may know, is the future of banknotes. Polymer is a lot more secure. It carries leading-edge security features that makes it almost virtually impossible to counterfeit. Polymer actually lasts a lot longer than cotton notes. Our research shows that a typical polymer note will last at least twice as long as a cotton note. This means that in a typical 5-year cycle, I would only need to really issue one batch of polymer notes versus issuing 3 batches in a 5-year period. Polymer is also environmentally friendly. It's cleaner. and it carries a whole host of other features that we could discuss at length. In terms of timelines, today we are making the public announcement. As I said, we're not going to give away the whole picture of what this newly redesigned and truly exciting $50 will look like, but we will show you that on December 13th at our gala anniversary. We've been working very closely with the banks, and come December 15th, the Polymer 50 will be available over the counter at banks, and into early 2015, your Polymer 50 will be available through the ATMs. So with that, I will close off here for a bit and invite questions from you all regarding this particular announcement. As Charlene indicated, we're only taking questions related to the new $50.
Okay, Governor Rambaran, Leah Soras from the Trinidad Express. You stated that the $50 note that from before that was launched 2 years ago did not receive public acceptance. Could you say why? I'm not understanding.
Yeah, there was there are a number of reasons. One is when it was issued, somehow the public thought it was mainly a commemorative issue. And whenever you got it, most persons just simply held on to it. But it was an issue that went into full circulation. Secondly, there were some challenges around design. Most of you know that that current 50 carries an olive green in color, which made it a little difficult to distinguish between the current 5 and the current 10, especially in low light or especially at night. So sometimes you weren't too sure what you were receiving, whether you were actually getting a 5, 10, or a 50. And some persons actually gave away their $50 thinking it was a 5 they were giving out. Right? So there were a number of challenges around that. So when we did our surveys and focus group meetings, that came up as a major consideration as to why there seemed to be limited public acceptance.
How many bills? The first issue will be how many bills?
You're speaking around the new 50,
Yes.
right? New 50 would be 5 million issued volume.
By how much would this new polymer cut your cost? Because obviously the previous one would have been more expensive. How much are you looking to save from issuing the polymer notes?
I won't give you the exact dollar number, but as I indicated, in a 5-year cycle, you would make one issue. Typically, if it was a cotton note, you would have to do 3 issues in that 5-year cycle. So you're actually saving on 2 issues. And depending on what note it is, that cost per issue varies. So it's significant savings. And bearing in mind, we're only using a 5-year cycle. All the central banks that have issued polymer, and 20 central banks so far in the world have gone the route of polymer, they are 8 years into issue. So again, substantial savings are taking place.
So persons who have the $50 note that was launched 2 years ago, would they still be able to use it when you're introducing new $50 note?
Yes, it is legal tender, but if you prefer the new 50, you bring it into the banks and you will eventually get it changed.
The current $50 that is in circulation, how many bills were printed? Do you know? Because as you said, there was the thinking that it was a commemorative bill, but it went into full circulation. So can you give it like an idea of how many bills there are out there?
I won't give you the number, but I'll tell you it accounts for just under 1% of total bills in circulation. So that in itself will give you a pretty good sense of public acceptance or non-acceptance in this case.
Would the cardinal still be on it?
Yes. That's the one thing I could give away and tell you. But I wouldn't give away any more.
So is there a plan to bring all the bills into Parliament, or just is it a trial period?
Yeah, we're looking to ensure that we get widespread public acceptance for the 50, and based on the feedback that we get from the public, then we will take a decision around if we roll this out to the other bills.
But so far from our focus groups, the response has been overwhelming, almost standing at 100% of acceptance. So if we were to use that, which most central banks use as their gauge for overall adoption of the note for the entire family, I mean, the response has been so positive that we are convinced the public will absolutely buy into this new one, and they will definitely use it in comparison to the existing 50. I mean, there are a lot of advantages to polymer generally for us in a tropical country. The fact that it's resistant to moisture, you could put it in the washing machine and it comes back out untouched, basically. So the pros definitely for us are the selling points of this note. So from that point of view, we know we are more or less, we're convinced that the public will accept it. So as for the rest of the family, as Governor said, well, you know, we will take the public's view if there are any negatives into account. But so far from what we've seen, we are confident that they will accept the note, which would lead to perhaps the other members of the family.
So any other burning questions around the new $50?
Well, thank you all for coming.